Well, the election happened, and well, Kamala lost, which I figured that was going to happen. And the one thing I find it very interesting is that there's been a lot of people crying about this election, honestly, even though I have no idea. We had to realize one thing. Kamala Harris lost on her own. Hell, I voted for Trump, to be honest with you. I didn't really care about voting for Kamala because didn't even know what she even wanted to. Well, I did know what she wanted to do. She was gonna follow the same thing that Biden's done, and a lot of the libtards are pissed that she lost. I've been asking questions that what what right did women lose? Because I'm trying to figure out how. They keep saying, well, we lost our rights to our own bodies, and I'm like, no, you really didn't do that. Nothing like that happened. They pretty much just want abortion. That's pretty much what they want. And technically speaking, you can still get it. Sure, there's some restrictions in certain states, but all you have to do is just go to a different state and then get yourself an abortion. It wouldn't take you that much, even though I don't really care about abortion. But I digress. And they can't really say anything about the popular vote when it comes to the media because guess what? He won the popular vote. I would check on how much right now, but I really don't care about doing that because California, I think they are close to being done. I think the last time I checked, it was like around 93, and I think that was like yesterday. I think, and he was up still at that point. So they can't say that democracy lost because technically speaking, democracy is voting. So technically speaking, seeing he won the popular vote, they can't say anything with that one. But the one thing I find very interesting is that the media is doing the one thing that screwed them over this time anyways. They're still not reflecting on this loss. Kamala Harris was a shitty candidate. That's what she was. She was a shitty candidate. The one thing is that they're not reflecting on why they lost. That's the one problem. Now, I can understand that it was a very close call or something like that, and yeah, maybe something like that. But the thing is that it wasn't that close, to be honest. Trump won because technically speaking, Kamala technically speaking didn't even go through the process of a primary. Biden did, but Kamala didn't. Now I know a lot of people will say, well, she's his VP, but the thing is that he ran on his own when it came to a presidency. He had that choice to literally change his VP if he wanted to. It's just that a lot of presidents, technically speaking, don't. Because if you look on the ticket, you'll see it says Biden, but the thing is, it's Biden Harris. But to be honest with you, he can switch his VP during that time. But it's typically they just don't do it. But thanks to that whole debate that he had, they saw that he was too old, and they decided, you know what, we're gonna switch a last minute result. So let's switch it last minute. And then they blamed Joe Biden. I'm like, okay, so you blaming the guy who has technically speaking dementia, and you want to wonder why you lost. Hell, I figured that he had dementia when he first started running. I figured he had something was off with him. It's just that it got worse over time. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, you guys are constantly getting angry over. I don't even know. To me, it kind of seems like they're getting angry because their candidate lost. Because I'm still seeing them say, "Well, he's a convicted felon and all this other shit," and I'm like, "Oh my god." For one thing, is that when it comes to the Trump supporters, and to be honest with you, even I'm thinking to myself, don't you think it's a little odd about these charges? It's the timing to me. The timing. And they are thinking that we're stupid enough not to look into that. Because for me, I say like this. When you have all this evidence pointing at someone, why not charge them than charging them at a time that you see is more convenient? Because if Trump was really guilty, why didn't you charge him when he left office? They decided to charge him when he decided to run again after the midterms. That's when they decided to charge him. That's when they started to go after him. Now, if they wouldn't have did that, Trump probably would have been on stage against Ron DeSantis because Ron DeSantis was trailing him for quite some time. But the thing is, when they brought those charges up, that's when he started trolling them. So now, the one thing I'm thinking that they did that for is because I think that they thought that Trump would be a more easier win because Biden beat him before. But the one problem is that when Biden left, Kamala Harris took all of the delegates, and seeing that she didn't go through the primary process, they could have easily have asked, did a special election or something, but they didn't do that. And the one problem is that she didn't really have a platform. The only thing she kept doing is pivoting to Trump, mainly. Pretty much her whole message was, we dislike Trump. There's really no real plan. She didn't really distance herself from Biden because even on The View, she said that I wouldn't do anything different. So I'm like, well, that's a bummer. We already see the terrible policies that Biden did. Why would we vote for that for 4 more years? Or maybe 8 more years? That'd be stupid of us to do. There's no way we'll vote for something like that. People's wallets are empty. People can't really do much. Hell, the hurricane relief thing, when it comes to FEMA, that's screwed up. Hell, my state is we're still doing cleanup around here. So, and I'm in the state of Georgia. Look at North Carolina, they all got fucked, to be honest. And they're still wondering why they lost. Well, here's a thought, Libs. When you are constantly complaining about the opposition and you're not bringing your own policies to the table, it's a recipe for disaster. Because out of all of Trump's flaws, Kamala Harris is worse. Biden was worse. That was the problem. People didn't vote, technically speaking, against the liberal. Well, technically speaking, they did. They voted because their livelihoods were screwed up, and the elite wanted to say, well, we're better than you because we have a college degree and we know it. Well, tell me this. With all those college degrees, did you see this coming? Did any of you guys in the media saw this coming? Because I'm assuming that you didn't. Most of you guys thought that Trump was going to lose. We're going to have our first black female president. And I'm like, I honestly don't give a shit about that part. And I didn't want to vote for her because I saw that she, technically speaking, wasn't doing anything. Hell, when it came to her policy, she could have just did all of that during that time. What was stopping her? She was VP at that point. So she had every obligation to do all the policies that she said she was going to do on that debate stage. But the one thing is, she didn't really propose any policies. The economic people saying that, well, she get good for the economy. I'm like, since when? If she was so good for the economy, how come the economy isn't that good? Prices actually went up. And the college kids, they don't even know what the fuck is this they're talking about. When it comes to all this drag queen story hour bullshit, the LGBTQR whatever movement, I'm not even sure how many letters there are anymore. I'm not even gonna bother. All I know is it's LGBT in a Q. I think after that's an A, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it's a plus, but I'm not even gonna, entertain that one. But I would say that most of the media and Democrats have not figured out why they lost. They lost because their candidate was not that good. To be honest with you, I don't even know if they even have any heavy hitter candidates anymore. Hell, Trump would have most likely beat him anyway, so the only one I can see would have I would say Biden would have did a little better of a job. I would say he would have probably gotten some votes out there. Kamala Harris pretty much just lost mainly all the swing states, so yeah, there's that. So they kept saying that North Carolina was in play. I'm like, when? Since when is North Carolina in play? I mean, Georgia's more in play than North Carolina is. When North Carolina went red, I'm like, I'm not surprised by that. Why would they think North Carolina's going to flip? I would say it's close, but it's not going to flip. I would say it's a lean Republican. Unlike Alabama and all the other states, I would say it's likely Republican, while Georgia and North Carolina, they're lean Republican. I wouldn't say they're a flip state, though. I would say it's more of a, how can I say it? It's kind of like a rarity if it would have flipped. Pennsylvania is a flip state, honestly. That's something that I know. Florida, it kind of seems like that's a red state now. That's going to be more likely red state now. While most, and to be honest with you, I thought Virginia was gonna go red at one point, but then I'm guessing that the mail-in ballots start going in, and that's when it flipped it to Kamala at that point. California, Washington, and Oregon, I already knew that those was gonna go for Harris. DC, I already know it was for Harris. When it comes to New York, knew that was gonna go to Harris. When it came to the states that are close to New York, I'm like, yeah, those are most likely going to be Harris states like New Jersey and New Hampshire and Maine. I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see them going for Kamala at that point. I wasn't really counting on those. I was mainly counting on the middle areas, mainly. Even though I'm surprised that none of the media actually caught on to it. Hell, I was up for pretty much around 3 o'clock before I went to sleep. Because when they called Pennsylvania, I'm like, yeah, this race is already over. At that point, I didn't even bother watching because I'm like, all Trump had to do was probably win one more state and he's pretty much president. Kamala Harris didn't really have a path to winning it because all the other states was pretty much leaning Trump at that point, and they were only like probably like 89% in. That's why I'm like, yeah, this is over. But when it comes to the media, they're never gonna admit that they're wrong. They're just gonna keep going procrastinating and saying that, well, it's because of people being racist or sexist. They're homophobic. They don't want to see a female president. I'm like, that's not even it. Some of these people didn't just wake up and say, hey, we want to vote for Trump because we're racist now. No, they didn't do that. They saw their wallets. They saw their livelihoods. They saw prices going up. Prices going up and they're not getting paid anymore. Well, not more to compensate for it. That's why they voted for Trump. They saw wars coming in and out in the world. They saw inflation going up too much. They saw immigration, the borders wide open. Pretty much these are some of the issues that the American people saw. And the media want to look down on those people. And that's the problem. The media, they're more of the elite, saying that Trump is only for the upper class. I'm looking at the people who are with them, and I only see like maybe 2 billionaires, just 2. When I'm looking at the Democrats, I'm looking at Beyonce, I see Oprah Winfrey, I see Eminem, I see Taylor Swift, Nicki Minaj. Those are just some that pops up in my head right now. I'm a little sleepy because I woke up. I technically speaking didn't get any sleep. My head is hurting, and to be honest with you, I just wanted to make this video. I've been wanting to make it for quite some time, but I just didn't have the time to do it. But yeah, that's why they lost. The media can constantly keep saying, well, it's racist and homophobic and shit like that, but I'm like, no, that's not it. If you actually live in the middle America, if you actually live in the middle class citizen, as a middle class citizen, you'll figure out why people voted for Trump. You'll easily see it. When you get off your ivory towers and you literally have to live day by day, paycheck to paycheck, trust me, you'll figure out really fast on why people voted for Trump. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You'll quite frankly figure out it real fast because it's gonna hit you like a ton of bricks. That's what happened. Because when people voted for Biden, I'm assuming because of the pandemic mainly. That's my main guess. But when it came to this election, people have voted mainly because the left has gone way too far left, and it ain't helping. Hell, Kamala Harris had control of the border, and look what happened with that. I mean, if that's an indication of how she is a VP, imagine her taking on any more roles. Because I say this. When you have only one, well, Kamala Harris probably had more responsibility than that, but the one we noticed when it came to the border, when you have only one responsibility and you don't do a very good job at it, why on earth would I promote you? Why on earth would I put you from VP to P and you did absolutely nothing with the border? Because truth be told, when it comes to the border, that's only one thing the president has to do. You're a VP. VPs aren't really going to be known. This pretty much not even in the spotlight that much. But if someone gives you a responsibility to do this one thing and you fail at it, when you're president, you have to succeed at that thing plus more. Now tell me this, and I want to ask the media this too. Do you think Kamala Harris would have did a good job with that? Consider her job at the border. Consider her job in Afghanistan with the came to withdraw, because pretty much I think that's what really drove people to not voting for Biden anymore. The man is a delusional, well, I would say he's demented. So there's that. But that's about all,